Today on the Everyman Driver Insider, the 2014 Ford Fusion, everything you'd ever want to know about the 2014 and what might be ahead for 2015. I'm Dave Erickson. Everyman Driver starts now. I want to welcome Everyman Driver Ford Insider Andy Keys with us today. Our featured vehicle is the 2014 Ford Fusion. And Andy, what has Ford done to make this vehicle stand out in 2014?
You know, last year Ford did some major body changes and actually a completely new vehicle with the Fusion. Took the world by storm. This year what Ford focused on was some safety issues and addressing some things, and they added some nice features like crash avoidance control, which is a huge deal. They tried to make the cabin safer. They added more airbags in the vehicle. You have knee airbags for the front drivers now. The other thing Ford did is they added the rear inflatable safety belts. They pioneered that in the Explorer first a year ago, and now those are added in the Fusion. Rain sensing wipers are the wipers that come on automatically when it starts raining. Automatic headlamps. The cross traffic alert system with blind spot monitoring is in there now. Just a lot of features like that to try to take a great vehicle and make it even better.
That's what I like from the Everyman's point of view, is in having these little things that make the driving experience safer and more comfortable, whether it's the little light in the side mirror, the beeping sounds that go on. And a couple years ago, I was actually in Dearborn when they talked about those, they were showcasing the inflatable seatbelts. And that idea, keeping consumers in mind on, we want you to be the safest possible in our vehicles. And Ford seems to continue to push that envelope. That's what I've experienced.
Yeah, they have, and they were actually, it's one of the first cars actually now in the market that comes standard with the rear view camera.
Standard?
Yes.
From 2013 on?
2014 on.
Okay. One thing I like about the Ford Fusion personally is the character lines. It maintains an identity. And so many cars I see today, probably in the SUV category, are all looking alike. But the Fusion, I notice it. It's a head turner when I'm driving down the road. What do you notice?
Well, that's what you hit it right on the head. As we're using computers more and more to design vehicles, they all start morphing into the same type of shape.
Yeah.
One of the things Ford has done with Jay Mays, who was the design guru there for a lot of years, he tried to put passion and energy into the cars and tried to make them look like they were doing something even when they were sitting there. And it really started with the Ford GT when they brought that vehicle back. With the Fusion, they had an interest in Aston Martin years ago, and they kind of took that front-end look of an Aston Martin, milled it to a four-door car, and it really turned into something special. When they introduced that car to the press 3 years ago, nobody could believe it was a Ford. They actually introduced that car without any emblems on it.
Oh.
So nobody knew what brand it was, and they were asking people, and nobody could believe it was a Ford.
That's a great marketing tool.
Yeah.
I mean, I bet the media was going crazy on that.
It was. Nobody could figure out what it was. They knew it wasn't a Toyota. They knew it was. They were sure it wasn't a Ford. They knew it wasn't a General Motors car. And when they actually unveiled one, Alan Mulally was there, and he actually had another one that was covered up that had all the emblems on it. When they took the emblems off, nobody could believe it was a Ford Fusion.
Here's a look at your real-world legroom and headroom here inside the Ford Fusion, and what a cavernous cabin indeed. I'm 5'11", and this was my driving position up here up front, and look how much room I have between my knees here in the back of the seat. I can put a good fist between my knees and the back of the driver's seat, so plenty of legroom for someone my size and even maybe 6'2", 6'3". As far as headroom, there's a good size indent here in the roof line, so if I'm able to sit up high, I'm still not touching the roof line, which is great. 4 blank handles all the way around, a sunroof up here for the front 2 passengers. I would like to see one extend all the way back, but maybe in 2015. Leather interior here. This is an upgraded luxury package, so I have the leather in this vehicle. There are storage behind the driver and passenger, cup holders in each side door, and a fold-down armrest as well with a pair of cup holders. And this back seat is a 60-40 split, so you can fold these down and create even more space for the trunk and cargo room area. What do you think makes the Ford Fusion stand out in this very competitive marketplace in this category?
Of the vehicles in the category, you have the Nissan Altima, the Toyota, the Honda, and even the Hyundai now. And I think the thing that really seems to set the Fusion apart is it's more sporty. It's got a sportier driving dynamic. When you have the EcoBoost power plants in the vehicle, which are a direct injected turbocharged motor, it adds a little something. You don't have a lag when you step on the gas, and for a small economical car, it has a lot of performance. So when you get in that vehicle, it's got a cockpit seating arrangement. You kind of fit into the car, and it gives you a sense of you're driving a much sportier car than just the economical family hauler.
Okay. Is that something that you've noticed over the years that Ford has been trying to change its identity to I don't know, cater to a newer audience versus the traditional blue collar worker?
Definitely. Up until the time the first generation of the Taurus came out, Ford was solidly geared toward the older mindset. Ford had the old Ford Escort,
Yeah.
and then when they brought in the Ford Focus, it changed a little bit. They started bringing some of the products from Europe that had had good success over in Europe. And the Fusion, when it first debuted here, it had a car that was based on the car that they were selling in Europe. And so this one, when they redesigned the car, they used the best of every continent that car was sold on and incorporated the car to try to hit what everybody was looking for. And it really is geared toward a younger demographic.
I was at the Ford Train Conference a few months ago, and they're very, very smart about sustainability and looking to the future and longevity of cars and also the environment. The Fusion has two different varieties of vehicles for the consumer.
Well, we have the standard gasoline-powered models, and we have two versions of a hybrid model of the vehicle. One of the things that Bill Ford is real big on, he's real big on protecting the environment and sustainability, like you said. So the Ford Hybrid is the first vehicle to come out that was really not different from every other vehicle. Typically, when a manufacturer brings out a hybrid-type vehicle, they make it look a little different. It doesn't look like the mainstream car.
Okay.
The Ford Fusion, if you look at the standard Ford Fusion and the hybrid, you can't tell the difference unless you see the emblems.
Are you talking about from the outside?
Yeah, from the outside, and really from the interior, too. The only thing is you sacrifice a little bit of trunk space because of the extra batteries for it. But the standard hybrid, you put gas in it, you drive it, and it runs on electricity till the batteries run down, and the gas motor will charge the batteries back up, and you go. It's seamless. They do very well, and then they came out with the Energi model. Ford has the Energi model now, which is a plug-in electric hybrid. And what they identified was that they have a plug-in Focus now. That's all electric. Nissan has the plug-in Leaf, and there's some other ones out there now too, but they have limited range. You have a range of about 80 miles. And when you get outside of a metropolitan area, that's not enough for most people. So the Energi system is one where it's a plug-in hybrid. You plug it in at your house at night, charge it up, you get in the car, you drive it out the next morning, and it can run up on electricity for like 30 miles before the gas ever has to kick in. So you can actually get equivalent of like 88 miles per gallon with that vehicle. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
But it looks just like the regular Fusion.
Well, let's virtually pop the hood here and talk about the engine and performance on the standard Fusion, and then let's talk about the other ones too.
Okay. On the standard Fusion, we've got three powertrain choices. We've got the standard 2.5 liter four-cylinders, normally aspirated. It's one that Ford's had now for several years. That's the entry-level motor. You don't see a lot of them. Most of them are being ordered with the 1.5 liter EcoBoost. Again, it's a smaller displacement, more powerful, more economical motor. It's direct injection turbocharged. It's rated at 24 miles per gallon in the city and 36 on the highway. So it gets really good performance for a car that large.
Yeah.
And then they also have the 2 liter EcoBoost, a little bit larger. It's the same motor that you'll find in the Focus ST.
Okay.
But it's 240 horsepower.
We're getting up there.
Yeah, real good performance, and it's available in either the front wheel or the all-wheel drive version. That's the other nice thing about the Fusion segment is it does have an all-wheel drive variant.
Yeah.
And then if you go to the 2.5 liter, again, the standard motor is 175 horsepower. So still plenty powerful, but it's amazing. You drop 1 whole liter inside and you pick up 6 horsepower.
Yeah.
And better torque too.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the interior layout, the cabin space, and how they've orchestrated the center stack and the instrument cluster on the Fusion. Standard status quo as before.
No, when the Fusion was redesigned, Ford took a look at that, and they've really got this free-flowing instrument cluster. And one of the first things you notice when you get behind the wheel of a Ford Fusion, you turn the key on, is the dash. It's really an LED or LCD dash.
Okay.
You don't have traditional gauges like you used to. Everything's pretty much electronic on that dash. It gives you the same features as everything else, but you can actually tailor it to what your driving situation is. If you want to look at different things on the dash, you can. So if you want to, say you're in the hybrid version, you want to see how it's regenerating, if you're squeezing every ounce of electricity out of it you can watch that. It actually will grow leaves on the dash.
Oh, yes.
So it tells you if you're doing a good job driving or not. If you step on the gas and you're not paying attention, the leaves will fall off the tree. So it kind of is a nice way that way. Also has some interior lighting that's LED that'll change colors, so you can select the ambient lighting system for the car.
It changes as you're driving, or you just
No, you have to set it to the color you want. So,
okay.
But you have a whole myriad of colors that you can choose from. You know, everything from purple to red to blue to white, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's kind of nice. And then with the Ford, My Ford Touch system, it's now in its 3rd iteration. It allows you to control things like your climate control, navigation, everything with your voice. So that's nice, but you also have a big touch screen on there too.
Yeah, a large touch screen.
Yeah.
I've seen how that lays out. Nice, ergonomically correct, where it leans away from you. Looks like a pretty spacious place to be.
It is, and then that touch screen will also double as your camera screen when you're backing up.
Yeah. Yeah. The Ford Fusion seems like it's what do you call it? It's a midsize
Yeah, and what Ford refers to that as the super segment.
super segment. What's that?
Because there's been so much growth in the market for the mid-size sedan and small SUV crossover segment. So those are what the industry is now starting to term their super segment vehicles. So the Toyota, the Ford, the Hyundai, the Nissan, the Honda, they're all going after these vehicles big. So you're seeing all the manufacturers now spending a lot of money to freshen up the products in that segment.
So how's that segment different than the midsize or the small crossover? Are they making the headspace bigger, the whole overall cabin bigger?
It is. You know, if you sit in the Ford Fusion and then you go sit in a Ford Taurus, the Fusion feels like it has more space inside than the Ford Taurus.
It feels like, or it really does?
It actually feels like it, and dimensionally, the Taurus has more space, but there's more usable space in the Fusion.
So it's configured a certain way.
Yeah.
I think you can make a lot of good use out of a vehicle if it's changed around the right way.
It's amazing when you look at that Fusion. One of the things that absolutely stuns people is the size of the trunk in that car. It's crazy. You're expecting this sleek car that looks like it sits down fairly low to have a pretty small, unusable trunk, and you open that trunk up, and it is huge. If you can flip the seats down, and you have room. You could probably fit 10 sets of golf clubs in it. It's crazy.
Talk about the price point of this vehicle. From Ford's point of view, what do they say is a good price to make it competitive?
Well, with incentives and everything, Ford has been able to get the price down to the high teens on the base models. Yeah.
Okay.
And then when you get up into the hybrids and the titaniums, which are the all-wheel drive with every option you can imagine, it's basically almost a near luxury vehicle. You're up into the 40s, so it covers a wide spectrum.
Well, that begs the question, who's the audience for this? And it sounds like if you're going from the high teens to the 40s, you're getting just about everybody. Ford has done a good job on marketing this to everybody.
They have. They've done a real good job. I think your more inexpensive ones are looking to try to get the young families in the entry level, you know, trying to get them that they're maybe they had a Focus as a younger person, or had a Corolla or something like that, and they want something a little bit nicer, a little bit bigger. So the Fusion appeals to them, just like a Camry would or something. But they decontented the base model a little bit to make it more affordable, and then you can move right on through the line.
So, to be completely clear on this, or transparent, what are some of the downsides? What are the challenges for the Fusion moving forward?
I think with when you look at what the manufacturers are offering out there, it's become very price competitive, and you're seeing more and more, like I mentioned on the base model of the Fusion, you're seeing more and more decontenting. So they're advertising these cars with a lower entry price, and especially on the lease front. Most all the manufacturers in this segment have lease payments advertised under $200 a month. Well, all of a sudden you've got these cars competing with the sub-segment, the subcompacts. And so I think the question is going to be, what's going to happen to that market? What are they going to do to those vehicles? And we've seen in the Ford line, they've actually started adding leather seats and things like that in the more entry-level cars to make those more attractive too. The Fusion has really caused a problem with Ford with the Taurus because it's overtaken Taurus sales too. It's cannibalized that.
Is this a good problem to have or a bad problem to have?
I think it's a good problem.
Good problem for Ford?
Because the Taurus is going to be updated soon, and the Fusion now is kind of Ford's darling.
As our insider, what do you know about a refresh or what may be ahead for 2015 in the Fusion?
What I've been told so far is it's going to be pretty much just minor updates to the Fusion for 2015.
Okay.
They're adding a few different colors. That's something that's always evolving, and they've added the heated steering wheel, which will be a nice feature if you live out in the Northwest like we do here.
Yeah.
But mostly it's just color and trim changes, little interior appearance package upgrades and things like that.
If it ain't broken, right?
Yeah, it's been doing pretty well.
Yeah. All right, Andy Keys, our Everyman Driver Ford Insider, with everything you'd ever want to know about the 2014 Ford Fusion.